All right, man.
Let's do this, bro. Come on, bro.
Oh man, you hopped on with the allergies, man. You all right over
Oh
there?
man, cool.
All right,
I'm
man. I
cool.
mean, if you say so. If you
You
say
look like a
so.
you look like you're in a Jacques Cousteau video or something.
Don't I though? I can't figure out lighting for nothing.
My octopus teacher.
If I could figure out lighting, I don't know, man. It escapes me. It's one of those things, man, where like you're supposed to know what you're doing, but you don't. So then you just don't, and that's the end of the story, right? I don't even know. I don't even know what I just said. I just know my lighting is always bad,
Your
and I always
headphones look
forget to put the
sharp
headphones in.
though.
They do, but they're coming off. But all right, sorry guys, I did this last show. Did not learn my lesson. Sorry, almost. What a way to start the show. All right,
Try not to make me laugh because at some point I'm gonna laugh and then just the snot bubble is just.
all right. Shout out to MF Doom. I think the only person to use snot bubbles in a lyric. All right, Kev, what's good, bro? What's good, man?
Nothing.
Just trying to breathe, huh?
Just I'm trying.
All right. Yeah, a lot of interesting things pre-show to discuss, but let's get started with the opening question. Very simple. Allergies, Kev?
Oh yeah.
Gardening again, man? Or
No.
outside
No.
working in the lawn again?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It may be that we just you know kicked into AC season.
Oh no, that's the worst.
So 6 months of dust. It's raining
Oh
down
yeah,
upon me.
yeah. Oh, AC
It's
season
fun.
is ACC. Oh man. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. Damn.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it's going down. It's going down. As soon as the air conditioner comes on, it's over. All right. Cool. So you've been dealing with this for what? The whole weekend?
Kind of on and off. Yeah.
All right.
You ever sneeze so much that you start sweating?
Yes, I have.
I've lost like 5, 10 pounds just from sneezing.
Hey, maybe that's the new secret.
What
It's the new dietary secret. Just sneeze. Um. All right. Well, man, I had an interesting weekend. Um.
would you
I mean,
do?
a nice weekend. I don't want to say interesting. Like interesting makes it sound like it wasn't. You know, when people say interesting, it's like it wasn't really
Oh,
that
that's
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. We've turned the word interesting into like shade. Like,
We turn everything into shade.
yeah. Yeah. We're that generation. But DJ'd at Keepers in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shout
How'd
out
that
to
go?
JP. It was dope, but I got to tell you something that's funny. All right.
Was everyone out there maskless, licking each other?
I don't know about licking each other, but um, yeah, COVID is gone, bro. Ain't no
Uh
COVID.
oh. Uh
Ain't no
oh.
COVID no more, man. We outside now. That's what we doing. We in the build, whatever, man. We just ain't no COVID. What? Who said COVID? What? Where? But nah. People outside. They was safe distance or whatever. I'm joking, but there are moments where it was like, whoa, this is. I think it's inevitable. It's unavoidable once you go outside into a situation like that where you're playing music and I just people are gonna commingle at some point, and it's just you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Darts at a dartboard at that point. Like I, you know,
Ooh.
might have it, might not. Um, but that's not what I want to talk about. So
Okay.
it's a brunch, right? If y'all ever
Mm.
get a chance, Keepers in Los Angeles, 200 South Los Angeles Street on the corner of Los Angeles and Second, near little in the little Tokyo district. Great food, great environment. It's nice, very nice restaurant, man. Like it's gorgeous. It was a beautiful day Saturday. Um, for those of y'all who listened to the show who also came out, thank y'all so much. We had a ball. We had a great time. But it was a brunch. right? And the rules in Los Angeles right now are basically people ain't supposed to be dancing together, right? So that's definitely not social distancing, right? So the rules. So P tells me, yo, no dancing. So I'll put together a loungy set, like, you know what I'm saying? It's beats, but it ain't like I'm not trying to pick it up past like 92 BPMs. When I got to that edge, I'm like, we gotta bring it back. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to get it cracking. Sure. JP goes on after me and just plays the R&B party set. People are dancing at their table. So now I'm like, I look like the most boring DJ on the planet. Like, wow, he got to just rock. So I came on and rocked. Like, I was like, all right, well, we gonna do this. We gonna get into, a lot of this, whatever, right? But by that time, people was like, man, you already trash. Like, we not gonna dance to nothing you play. So it's one of these things, right? Where
you guys were going back and forth then?
No. He went for I went for an hour. He went on like 10 something. And when I got there at 11:45, I went on and for an hour. Then he went on for an hour, and then I closed out or whatever. Now, I mean, I'm joking about trash, but it was like certain tables was like not really rocking, like they was rocking in his, and I was like, I could feel it, like you was rocking, and now you not rocking, and the other tables was rocking, so it was all good. But note to all of y'all, don't burn your phone like this. Come on, P. You put me out there, man. You put me out there, P.
There's no rules. There's no rules, man.
Nah, I gotta confess. I just was not prepared for that type of jam. So I had to switch into
Metal.
everybody drinking brunch mode. Let's go. Like I literally had to switch, man. I had like all sorts of smooth R&B / hip hop. I had it all lined up, yo. And I was like,
playing some Kenny G. Najee.
It was saxophones in my joints. I was like, I didn't even go back to that folder. I was like, that folder is dead. Like, I was like, HBCU graduation folder. Like, I switched straight to that one.
Oh man,
Oh,
I forgot
man.
to ask you about that.
Yeah, it was dope, man.
I saw that. I was like, oh, dope. That's right. That's not too far away. Maybe we can. No, I'm not going anywhere.
Man, I figured, yeah. I was like, but I did play a lot of Capsicota Heat as well, though. That Casanova joint be getting them, boy. Don't matter who they are.
Look it up. Yeah, you
So,
can't put. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's some heat.
You have to dance.
Yeah, you don't have no choice. Unless, Track Life was playing it. If JP played it, maybe the whole other table.
Were
All
there
right,
kids in the house?
What, you said, were my kids there?
No, were there children?
Yes, there were. There were a couple
Did you get
little
to call
ones.
the cops? Did you get to call the cops on any parents letting their children wear masks? Like Tucker Carlson told us
I
to?
saw that. I didn't put that on the rundown, but I did saw. He said, call Child Protective Services and keep calling till someone shows up.
Man.
We got a couple goofies to talk about. So let's just jump into the other side, man. You ready, Kev?
Yep.
All right, man. Me with the Burn DJ set. Let's move on. Y'all ready? Let's go.
Rap Sucks Radio. Blah, 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 blah.
What up, y'all? You are live on Rap Sucks Radio with your homeboy Track Life and your fam, Kev Dakota.
DJ The Wave. Is that still a thing out here? The Wave?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. It's
That's
like a
where you get
dentist
your
office in your
Yeah.
car.
In your car all day. All day.
All day.
All day
The
dentist
Wave.
office. Well, did I turn my? I thought I would turn my recording off. My bad. All right. So yeah, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. If you'd like to catch past episodes of Rap Sucks Radio, you can go to rapsucksradio.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms. If you'd like to catch us on your television, you can go to BTSN, that's Behind the Scenes Network, on your Roku or any of your Amazon Fire devices. You just download the app or channel, click on that. We are right there. We got our own section and everything. Rap Sucks Radio on BTSN. We want in. All right. So speaking of goofies that we got to talk about, man, let's jump into this. And this is it. This is it. I chose this article deliberately, whatever. Kev, who got to chill this week, man?
Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. Now, Tim Scott had to chill a week ago, but we had to get into my man John Pentland real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But my topic title
We're
for
not
this
exactly
is,
on the cutting edge.
yeah, we're not. We deliver the news when we feel like it. How about that? That would be my news show.
It's not breaking. You
Yeah,
got
it's
to
not
pull it out, put it in the microwave. A little wet paper towel on it.
Rap Sucks Radio. We deliver the news when we feel like it. All right.
Broken news.
My topic title for this is "It Ain't Racist, but it is hella racist though." So before I get into the article I chose for this, there is a bit of a backstory for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with who Tim Scott is. Tim Scott is a South Carolina senator who, first, who spoke the GOP rebuttal to Joe Biden's 100 days in speech. Now, Kev, have these rebuttals been going on my whole life, or are they something that have just gone over the last 10 years or so?
I don't know about your whole life since you're hella old,
Thank
but
you,
they definitely have been going on for quite a long time, and it's a terrible job. It's like a terrible mission to be sent out on, because it's a difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah.
So technically, he probably did he did what he came there to do. The problem is that the thing that he came there to do was be silly.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Succeed.
So, Tim Scott, in his GOP rebuttal to Joe Biden's 100 days in, what he's accomplished or whatever, was in his speech, he said, "America's not a racist country." Full quote. America is not a racist country. Tim Scott is a black senator, the only black senator, correct?
Oh yeah.
No, the only black GOP
He's
senator.
He's the whole black caucus in the Senate.
Okay. Representing South
On
Carolina.
the Republican side. Yeah.
Yeah, only black Republican senator, which actually speaks a lot of volumes about his statement. But I pulled out this article because in a follow-up interview, this is what Tim Scott wants in a non-racist country, right? Tim Scott wants police reform because he's been stopped 18 times for driving while black. Now look, listen. I don't know what his definition of racist is. But if you can say that you want to reform the police department nationally because you yourself have been stopped 18 times and you could count them for driving while black, God, dog. How not racist is the country you live in? I mean, unless the police department only exists in South Carolina, like a small. I don't know what to tell you, fam. Like you are anyway. New source for this is Newsweek. The players involved in Tim Scott, and the non-racist racettes. I don't know. So
It's the worst. Did you play them yesterday in your set?
Tim Scott and the non-racist racettes. F black folks get money. All right. Senator Tim Scott, a South Carolina Republican, said during a Sunday interview that he asked to take the lead on the GOP efforts to reforming police in the U.S. because he's personally been stopped 18 times for driving while black in a non-racist country. Scott, the only current black Republican senator, has been meeting and negotiating with Democratic colleagues to hammer out significant police reform legislation in a non-racist country. The effort to pass police reform began last year in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, an unarmed black man, by former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who was convicted of the murder in a grand jury trial last month in a non-racist country. one of the reasons, this is Tim Scott speaking, one of the reasons why I asked to lead the police reform conversation on my side of the aisle is because I personally understand the pain of being stopped 18 times driving while black. Scott told CBS News, Face the Nation. The GOP senator went on to say that he's also seen the beauty of police. Kev, check this contrast out. So he's been stopped 18 times for driving while black. That's the dark side of police, right? Okay. The beauty, quote unquote, of police officers' action is pointing out how they go door to door with him on Christmas morning to deliver presents to kids in the most underserved communities.
Just like Nino Brown.
Oh, he could have done better on the beauty side. I think he said he thinks he'd bring equilibrium to the conversation, Kev. He's now, with all that being said, he said, I've been stopped several times in the last 3 years in the Capitol and on the streets throughout the country. I'm not having the conversation about theory or philosophy, he says, in a non-racist country. Scott had previously highlighted his experience being stopped for driving while black in a Senate floor speech back in 2016 in a non-racist country. At that time, he said he'd been stopped by police 7 times, which would mean that he's been stopped 11 more times in a non-racist country. Imagine the frustration, the irritation, the sense of loss of dignity that accompanies each of those stops, Scott said in a non-racist country. I was doing nothing more than driving a new car in the wrong neighborhood or some other reason just as trivial, Scott pointed out in 2016 in a non-racist country. Kev?
He is a bad apple magnet. He's putting double-digit numbers on the board.
Man. In 4 years, in 5 years, he put up 11 more stops.
Those are Hall of Fame stats.
Yo, those Will Chamberlain numbers, bro. What's going on? Kev, you said he's a bad apple magnet. God, dog, that should have been the title of this. Listen, man. Okay, so I don't know how to explain. I wonder how I would explain this to guys. So, okay, so the country itself is not racist, which, to be fair, I think in desperation, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris actually went on to agree with him on, and I was like, yo, come on, y'all, just don't do this. Don't do this, y'all. Like, chill out. Like, everybody sit down. You know what I mean? This is where Not Fam Man needs to come in and be like, all right, listen, y'all got to learn how to deal with these things. Of course, this is the talk of the town. You have a black man saying the country is not racist. I've never seen so many people in love with a black man before. This is he's literally the Magic Johnson of the country at this point. And I say that with the love for Magic Johnson, not the idiocy that Tim Scott is doing. But I don't know. I guess it's too simple for me to explain. How could the country not be racist when its law enforcement is profiling racially? I don't know. Is the show over now? Like, do we just turn the mics off? And because it seems like that's the end.
Well, that's the problem.
How do you put that?
That's the problem. That's not equilibrium. That's just delusion. If you want to bring delusion to the conversation, you have done a mighty fine job of doing that, Tim Scott.
Hey, we'll stop you 18 times, but we will bring you gifts on Christmas, though.
Yeah. He gets stopped 2 more times, and I think he gets a free Subway sandwich. A free donut.
For real. Listen, I'm going to take this a different direction because I like to bring equilibrium to... Nah, I don't really. But, all right, so this country is so racist that everybody's acting, like everybody buys into the act. And that's been my thing about America, the oppressive nature of America is that we all buy into the oppression and we all want to enact it on other people, right? So you have, of course, the last year's worth, really centuries worth, but more recently climaxed racist against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, resulting in 3 recent deaths. Now, would I say all of these have been at the hands of white people? No, actually, these have been at the hands of Black Americans, Mexican, Hispanic, Latino Americans. And also white Americans. So again, this is not one of those things where we say America's racist because it's white. No, America's racist because it's racist. And fundamentally, we bought into this racism. We brought into this oppressive ideal. Matter of fact, if you look at even the idea of, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you stand on this on, but there's a discussion about California recently didn't pass the recent affirmative action bill. Now, a lot of that discussion and argument was that bill itself was racist. Now, you can choose whatever side you want, but the fact of the matter is, and something that may or may not be, or was an incredibly important conversation over the last 20 years, the idea of racism is what has stopped it. So clearly racism is on our hearts and minds in almost every decision that we make in this country, largely because this country is, in fact, racist, right? We argue segregation. We argue whether segregation is a real thing or should continue. We've done a lot of things in this country because the country is racist. Now, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I do want to point out that we all participate in it. We all participate in the prejudices of this country to the point where we feel like you have to earn your way into being an American because, well, technically we're racist as hell. That's the key, right? Because we don't really ask certain people of a certain hue to earn their Americanism, but people of another hue have to earn their Americanism. Why? Because we live in a racist country. Now, how much more needs to be really said about that? It's not racist because it's white. That's not the whole thing. It's racist because white people are here. Like, I get it, but that's not the answer. It's racist because, well, initially, white folks started it, but then we all were like, the only way to make it is to be like whatever the oppressive rule of white supremacy. White supremacy made it, so we're going to make it the same way. Right. If you ask me, that in and of itself is the whole argument, and opposing argument to Tim Scott. Yes, this is a racist country, and all of us need to look in the mirror and be like, damn, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my biases are the cause for a lot of my decision making. Last point here, Kev. I'm sorry, I'm rambling on, but my last point here is a lot of the argument about this racist country is that you can't stop people from having bias, right? So we tend to want to attack these things on a larger scale, which we should, right? We should attack political reform, of course, police reform, of course, the criminal justice system reform or total justice system reform. We should attack all of that, right? But the reality is individual racism to a man is the linchpin for all of that, right? If I, in fact, am a prejudiced or racist person and someone comes across my desk as a person that am interviewing to hire, and I do not hire them because they are whatever other race that I hate or dislike or am prejudiced against, well, then there you have it. There's racism in employment. If I am a judge and I have particular biases against a particular group of people and I judge them harsher than I judge other people, that is an individual individual prejudice that is now enacting itself or playing itself out in the judicial system. So we do have to stop people from having biases. Like, that has to be the end of the story. And you don't stop that by standing up and pretending like there's not a problem. All right. That's my speech. That's my rebuttal speech. There you go. Kev, all you.
Yeah, I think we talk about this a lot, almost to the point, I would imagine a lot of people who have been with us for a long time would naturally get a little bit tired of hearing it every single week. Mm-hmm. But then we hear stuff like this every single week, We're not out here like in the streets, freedom fighters, we're just talking.
Right.
But it was funny because it reminded me of something, or when we were talking about it just now, at dinner tonight, my kid, she starts saying something, and I see a teachable moment and start sort of talking to her. And almost the second I start talking, she goes, "Can we change the subject? Because I don't even think you understand what I'm saying, and I don't even know what we're talking about anymore." Right? And I'm just like, wow. Like you don't even want to listen. I said, that's your first mistake. But she's 8. There are grown adults. We happen to watch them here in America. I think they're everywhere in the world, who don't want to have these conversations. You know what I mean? Who don't want to really own up to what and that's the wrong phrase. Not own up. Who don't want to contend with the realities of our history, our collective history. And it's not just one thing. It's not just an individual committing a racist act on one occasion. That's why when you hear you might, if you cringe when you hear the phrase systemic racism, the next time you hear it, if it makes you cringe, stop and try and understand what are all the things that go into that system.
Right.
Because it's not just the one thing. It's not just the police officer who is having a bad day, who treats somebody a certain way. And we're really good at trying to isolate and just focus in on one particular actor. We're really good at focusing in on the most digestible tidbit of information. For example, in Georgia, with the voting law, it's really easy to understand that that's fundamentally nonsensical and unfair to not allow people to pass out water to folks who are standing in line. One, because they shouldn't even be standing in line, but two, that's inhumane.
Right.
That's just not uncool. But there are other parts of that bill. There's one in particular that's very detrimental, not just to the black vote or the non-white vote in Georgia, but the fact that the state legislature can just overturn the election. That's kind of a bigger deal.
Right.
And I don't know if there is a conspiracy theory in this or if it's just a fact that, like many other things, they know that we're silly enough to digest the water part of things and really latch on to that at the detriment of having a conversation about the systemic problem that they are inserting into this legislation that could really actually affect the vote in a way that you simply can't overcome by toughing it out and committing to standing in line for 4 hours to cast your ballot, even if it's hot, even if you're hungry, even if you're tired, even if you just got off work. It doesn't matter. You could theoretically get over that hump as a person. And I think like what he was talking about in this speech has a lot to do. He had a line about making kids feel like they are the oppressor. Right? And I don't know if I connected it because of this. Today I saw something about Mitch McConnell saying that he was going to somehow prevent or make it unlawful to teach, I don't know about the quote unquote 1619 project or just the factual elements of that are not disputed at all, right? The actual history and greater totality of what has happened in this country. That happened in a lot of other countries too. And I feel like that's where you start to get into this zone where, hey, nobody's attacking your children.
Right.
Nobody should be. But nobody should be attacking my children either. But that doesn't mean that my children shouldn't learn. It doesn't mean that when my child says, "Oh, can we change the subject? Because I don't even think you understand what I'm trying to say." That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that if we're not always trying to teach something new and we're not trying to push our children to learn something new, then there's no point in us being here. You know, if because you haven't taught them everything they need to know. That's why you turned out the way you did, Tim Scott. Many things and many blessings in his life came along that allowed him to get from a very difficult situation as a child to being a U.S. senator. And I don't. It doesn't matter that he's the only black Republican U.S. senator. Also, although it should tell him something, and it should tell all the other 49, 49 Republican senators that there might be an issue in the party. One would think, but no. Let's change the subject because we don't want to think about it. It's like, dude, and the thing about him and the police, policing legislation that bothers me in the same vein is that I think his major quarrel was with qualified immunity. If people do something wrong and we can hold them to account for that in a way that is fair, people will believe that it's more fair.
Right.
But qualified immunity allows cops to not be individually liable for certain acts that they commit. And that's an oversimplification. But, I don't think that's why they do what they do. But
sure,
it's what allows it to continue. I truly believe.
Well, there was a minor debate. Kev, with the allergy, was that a quiet sneeze? How did you do that? It was interesting. There was a minor debate where police officers were upset with LeBron James for speaking out, and
right.
My argument was really, saying that it would cause violence against police officers, and I was like, it's really interesting that after hundreds of years of ignored brutality, you would think that LeBron James would be the reason somebody would want to punch you in your face. Like, it's not, not that anybody should be, but if the people chose violence, it won't be because LeBron James said so. It'll be the years of underlying oppression, systematic oppression, systematic racism, to at times just overt and direct racism, community poisoning, all of the above. It won't be because Kanye said so or LeBron, like to put it on celeb, or Maxine Waters, who's not a celebrity but a politician, but it ain't gonna be, one of them. It'll be all of the reasons that have led up to this point that we're discussing, weekly on this show. And
I don't even think we got into the actual. We kind of made fun of the situation with LeBron last week, but I may be reading into this from a different angle, or from my angle that's obviously has a certain point of view. But my assumption was that what he was saying was, you're the next one who's going to go to jail.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Not because you're next what? Nothing happens to these guys. So if he said you're next, to do what? To get free? To get let out on the street to do the same thing again?
Right.
I understand why he took it down, and he explained better than I ever could why he took it down. Should he have done it? That's up to him. I wasn't disappointed in him for taking it down, but it's also the situation where you look at stuff like that, and then you get the I think a former LAPD cop who wrote the letter to him that seemed to be somewhat of an olive branch, and then it's just this whole everything is your face. That's my reaction to just everything. Is that what? Because so all of a sudden this cop, for being a normal human, who happened to also been a cop, wrote words that were not telling him to shut up and dribble or calling him the N-word. All of a sudden he's a hero. And then what's her name on ESPN?
Jamel Hill?
No, not Jamel. What's her name? Sage Steele?
Yeah, Sage Steele. Yeah.
So she
Jamel ain't been there
looked at it as a positive reaction, positive development. And I think she like put prayer hands up or whatever in her response to the tweet. And then she gets in trouble for doing that from people who understandably said this guy's not the savior or whatever, and we just keep doing this. But what the thing I have a problem with is that the cops, those white folks who are offended by accurate historical education, or who are offended by Dr. Seuss or Mr. Potato Head or whatever, they hate when anyone else gets sensitive about something, like getting killed for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get sensitive for words or for not being allowed to do racist stuff, all of a sudden, that's the extent of their oppression. The oppression placed upon their shoulders is, I'm not being allowed to be as sensitive as I should be about something that's completely trivial and silly.
Mm-hmm.
And it does get tiring.
Well, it's been the countdown to when Gina Serrano says something that matters. The clock is still ticking. You can still speak on something that legitimately has some weight. Right? Nope. You're talking about not being able to talk. All right, cool. Talk about what? Nothing. That's right. Nothing. And that's what she represents to me, is the people you're talking about, where I just want to be able to say something. What? I just want to be able to call my neighbor fat without anybody being mad at me. That's the extent of it. That's what happens. That's what we're doing now. This is what they're fighting for, Kev. Like this.
I'm waiting for her to knock out Ben Shapiro on a movie set somewhere. That'd be.
I'm like, the movie they're gonna do, it's gonna be something off, real off kilter, like, you know what I mean? Like, King Kong the Romance, in love with the Monkey Man. Starring a man in blackface. Whoa. Well, it's just gorilla makeup. Yeah. All right. I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for these like edgy, why don't we bring minstrel shows back? Like, why are you so offended? Like, it's on its way. But these are the things they're fighting for. They're not fighting, and it shows you the comfort level, right? The level of oppression. On one side, you have people fighting against years of brutality. And I'd like to interject something that a lot of us know, but I think a few of us don't know. And that is, like, police brutality is not something that's come up in the last 10 years. This has been forever. Like, I always like to remove, and people don't like when I do this, but I always like to remove slavery from the conversation. And the reason why is because, you get these weird arguments. Well, it's been over for some of you, so I like to remove the ability to interject a stupid argument. Now, mind you, slavery should never be overall removed. But what I like to do is I like to say, hey, this was happening to free American citizens. Because then your whole, flag in the air and like it just don't care thing starts to kind of crumble, right? Because if you watch black folks be hung, and the sheriff was the one who set it up, bro, we going back to that. We going back through profiling. Profiling ain't just new. This ain't something that just started happening in 99 or 2010 or 11 or whenever you think it just started, like, or when Black Lives Matter started. Like, first, there was no problem with the police whatsoever, right? Then Black Lives Matter started. And then these problems with the police started. It's like, no, dog, this has been happening forever. My generations, my grandfather had stories about dealing with the police. And we've been teaching our children how to deal with the police since forever. You know what I'm saying? So none of this is new. So why are we pretending like these are issues that don't need to be discussed? Right. And police are being very sensitive about this, in my opinion. GoFundMe's to help them with. And I'm like, but why are you just not upset with the people in your ranks that are causing the problem? That's what you ask the community to do, right? If I'm profiled and pulled over, your thing is, well, why are you not upset with the criminals that we're looking for that are ruining? Okay, well, wait. Now you're being profiled. I'm asking you the same question. Why are you not upset with the police officers that are causing the problem? You know why? Because that's a nonsense explanation to begin with. That's why. And now that the shoe is on the other foot, you don't know how to live with it. You're emotional. You're Carl Thomas on the cover right now. You know what I mean? And you gotta figure it out. You gotta get out of your feelings. You gotta get away from your sensitivity. And you have to recognize that this has been a problem for over 100 years. And now we're actually being like, no, we are gonna beat this door down at this point. Because we can't do another 100 years of this.
Yeah, I think it's.
You know?
I think it's real simple. Up until about 40 years ago, 50 years ago, any old person could do what the cops are doing
Right.
with impunity, just about.
Yeah.
Relative impunity.
Yeah.
The only ones left who are allowed to do some of these, and I'm not talking about every cop. I'm talking about all 18 of the
But it's so
people who
ridiculous that
pulled
that has
over
to
Tim
even
Scott.
be
It's like
said.
that they're the ones who are allowed to do this, and we have to wonder: are they guilty? Did you see him doing it? He was on camera. But is it gonna? But how's the verdict gonna go? And then the sentencing. It's like, no, they should bury him under the jail.
What
But we do
more-
have to wonder because we don't know.
We don't. But I'm asking this question, Kevin. What more evidence do you need than the recent situation we discussed where the Long Beach police officers, former and current, were putting together an assassination attempt for black leaders in Los Angeles and also possibly leadership in Long Beach? What more do you need? What more information do you need than just that? Just that alone tells you the impunity they feel like they can operate with. Dude, they did this like live on Facebook, like typing it like thumbs active because who gonna stop us?
I tell you what, you take away that pension,
Well,
you know. I mean, you know, people make mistakes. Things can happen in the heat of the moment. I understand that. But guess what? If a really, really bad thing happens in the heat of the moment, everyone else has to pay for it.
mm-hmm.
Everyone else knows that they need to be held responsible for it. Or they need to go to a non-extradition country and stop bothering everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
These guys make multiple mistakes of the same nature, and there's a pattern, and yet we have to distinguish between them doing it because they know they're not going to really get punished, or that they can go to the next city over and get hired to do the exact same job, maybe for more money, and whether maybe they're just not good at their job, or maybe they're just not good at being good people.
Well,
You know, and maybe it's all of the above. I don't know, but it seems like there are certain things that you could do to discourage that kind of behavior a little bit more than we're doing right now.
Well, Kev, recently a police officer who mocked LeBron James in a video said that he has good cops that are quitting the force because it just doesn't. There's no value in being a police officer anymore, and I'm like, that's cowardly. You know you're a punk, right? Just so you know.
I think it's BS too.
Oh, I think it's definitely BS. But I'm saying, if that is what you were doing as a police officer, you're a coward. You are a coward. You know what I'm saying? I cannot operate with impunity, so I'm quitting. Look, I've worked in like nightclubs long enough to remember when they were called nightclubs. Right? The way that police act when you were let out of a club at 2 a.m, not just to black folks, man, to young women, to I have a person I'm very close to. A police officer pulled her over, took a picture of her with his cell phone, and let her go. When she asked, "Hey, what was that all about?" He said, "You can get this ticket, you can go to jail, or you could drive away." I mean, look, again, well, that's hearsay. Okay, fine. You can say that if you want, but there's dozens, hundreds, thousands of similar stories where a person joins your ranks to be a unimpeded jerk, right? To be a uncontested racist. They're in your ranks. You got to care about that. But instead, you want to mock LeBron James.
Right.
You want to big up Tim Scott for pandering to you, because that's what he's doing. He pandering. He won a presidential run. He pandering to be president. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Republicans, I'll put it this way: they might do it. They might do it just to one up. And here's the thing: you're not gonna solve anything by putting a panderer into that situation. A person who just out of the right side of his mouth, this country ain't racist, and out the left side of his mouth, I've been stopped 18 times with being black. I don't know what y'all want to do, man. Like, y'all don't want to fix the problem because you benefit from the problem. And the only time it's mattered to you is when you stop benefiting or when you came into question. And now we got to talk about racism. Or like I said several episodes ago, a man can gun down 6 Asian women within 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, and two non-Asian people in a fit of rage about sex. And y'all say it's not racist, it's sexist, or it's religion gone wrong. And my thing is, yo, since when did sexism included like a specific race of women? Since when? That man passed up 5-6 strip clubs on the way. Since when? He was on his way to another state. You know how many strip clubs he was gonna pass on the way out? Not that I'm saying they deserve it. I'm just saying if we saying that this was purely sexual, then why didn't he stop at strip clubs? This is the most. That's the most obvious, right? No, he didn't because it was racist. But here it goes. We have to cover this up because you don't care until you come into question. Now it matters, right? Oh, okay. Well, it was religion. All right. Well, cool. Koreans are strong Christians. I got like 9 Korean churches. They out here like liquor stores, like black folks. Black folks is heavy Christians. When's the last gun down you seen from either group? Nah, this is white supremacy. But y'all can't handle that conversation. So we got to change the subject. We have to discuss it in a way that makes you comfortable. Fam, this is your problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and his pandering, I think, in the speech was more about, I understand that we can't survive as a party without taking these problems off the table and not addressing them. I understand that I can't help lead this party if this party is going to openly talk about the issues that we have as a country and work toward actually solving them as opposed to ignoring them or, biting around the edges and not really getting to the heart of the matter in any kind of way that actually makes a difference. It's like, I get it, man. If you are a LeBron James and you have a track record of winning, most people who are at or want to be at your level want to beat you by being a better athlete than you.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. But that's because LeBron is LeBron. If the entire time he was in the league we said, and I know this gets said sometimes about athletes, is that they're the refs give them an easy time, let them take an extra step, whatever the case may be, give them easier calls. That's still not cheating. But but there are also players who get that kind of talk behind their back, but also, that guy's just a better player.
Mm-hmm.
That woman is just a better athlete. That team is just better than the other organizations. There's a team in this country that has been cheating, has been winning by cheating, by bending the rules. If you make the rules, it's easy to make the rules work in your favor. And if you've been doing it for hundreds of years, it may well be difficult and understandably sort of nerve-wracking for you to have to contend with that all of a sudden. Well, you know what? I don't care. You had 400 years to realize that it wasn't going to work for 500. So get it together. You know, if you don't want to talk about it, doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about it. And it's not going to get easier for you to keep doing the same thing. It's not. You're going to try. You know. Can't take anything away from you. You cheated through a great game.
Right.
But it's not going to last forever, you know. So do you want to attack LeBron? You know. I tell you what, how about you shut up and only talk about LeBron playing basketball? Because the only time you want to talk about him is when he says something about a politician or about a police officer who killed somebody.
Speaks up for his people.
Right.
Then he got to be quiet.
Right.
I don't get that, though. But I get it.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, no, these black folks got to shut up unless they agree.
Right. Right.
And everybody else. Like, y'all got to be quiet unless y'all agree. But we don't want to fix no problem because the problem, again, I benefit from the problem. The problem helps me.
Right.
So why would I want to fix it? You know? I think it's one of those things.
But don't do that. Like, I get that. Again, I get it. You got good at cheating. It's cheating. You got good at it. You got real good at it. I get it that it's not in your self-interest to dial that back and to level the playing field. I get that. But don't act like you're being the one attacked. Don't act like all of a sudden affirmative action is holding your children down.
Right.
You can't do both. You can't say both of those things. You can't believe both of those positions. You can't do it all at once. You're already, and I'm taking it back to season 2, you are already doing way too much.
Well, in connection to what you're saying, Tim Scott's argument is you can't fight bigotry with bigotry. He believes, right, that by leveling the playing field, you're taking away from one group, so you're fighting bigotry with bigotry. And I'm trying to figure out where his logic is, right? If one side is on unequal ground and one side is on positive ground, how would equaling out that ground, right? But he also has argued that he's raised quite a bit of money for HBCUs because the people understand. I think his quote was, and I'm paraphrasing his quote for everybody out there, so please look up the quote yourself. That, you know, the government and the red side of the line, GOP side of the line, understands that if you can level out the playing field on education, then that's a fair leveling or something to that case. And I'm like, look, dude, if racism was only in the education system, then yes. But it's in all the systems, man. It's all throughout, fam. You're done. It's an infestation. So, and what you're saying supports that infestation. You don't want to fix the problem. A lot of these people feel like because they're doing well financially, there is no more racism. Listen, dude, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You know, that's just not how it works. You around people, in a sense, you're around people who want your money. You know what I'm saying? Now, do yourself a favor and look up when Jay-Z tried to get a high rise in in an area that wasn't trying to accept. Okay, well, even with money, he met racism. So, all of these reasons to excuse a problem that has persisted in America for 400 years, I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Accept that it's a problem. And it's been a problem since prior to America's inception. You know, prior to 1776 or whatever. But since 1776, this joint been rolling, bro. We've been rolling in this racism. Surviving in it, living in it. It's benefit every accomplishment in this country. And now all of a sudden we want to pretend like, I want to know when Tim Scott think it went away. Like, okay, was it ever racist? And when did it stop being racist?
Right.
1965, maybe? Is that when when 3 years later Martin Luther King was murdered? When?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
When did it happen?
I want to know how much money Candace Owens got for writing his speech, though. For real.
We're really believing that Candace Owens can write. I still don't. I think she got a ghostwriter.
She got that circular logic, though. She's good at it. I tell you what.
Yeah, I had a person try to argue with me that Candace Owens, is being ignored because she has the right ideas, and I was like, if she had the right ideas, she would speak all year round, but she tends to only speak when she can be deliberately counter and get attention for it. And that person was like, you know what, you're damn right, and that was it. It was one of the only times in the world I've ever changed somebody's mind on Facebook. They was like, actually, you're right. I was like, yeah, I know. All right, so we spent your whole episode on racism. So thank you for tuning in to yet another racism episode of Rap Sucks Radio. We will. Racism Sucks Radio. We appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in. My name is Track Life. That over there, that dude right there, that's your homeboy Kev Dakota, who survived this entire episode with only one allergic reaction.
Allergy fan man.
If you would like to catch past episodes of Rap Sucks Radio, you can do so by going to rapsucksradio.com or any of your favorite podcasting platforms. If you'd like to catch us on your television, you can go to BTSN, that's Behind the Scenes Network. It's on your Roku or any of your Amazon Fire devices. Download the app or channel. Click on that app or channel. We are right there. We got our own section and everything. Rap Sucks Radio on BTSN. We want in. Thank y'all again. We are out of here like last year. On the count of three, we say peace. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
Peace.
We out.